So yesterday I made a post. I made this post here sharing a story on how I was forced to let 25 people go within my organization about a couple years ago. So it's taken a little bit to process, to digest, and break all that down. And I shared a little highlight of this of that story in my post here, and frankly is the most negative feedback I've ever gotten. And so it was interesting because I was taking a moment to be vulnerable, where I was showing a do or die scenario for myself in the business. Rereading it, I see how people interpret it as like everything's going well. I let people go. They're on their own. They'll figure it out. And I'm just going to move on with my life, right? But that's quite the opposite of what actually happened here. Is in a scenario where I can kind of go into that story in a little bit, where I was ultimately forced to make a decision where I had to close the doors or adapt very, very quickly, right? And so this is a so just to go through this quickly, because I want to do a couple things. I want to address the post. I want to actually identify some really cool opportunities. And so I saw a comment here. Leah or Lay was asking to give like a video breakdown because she didn't see how the post really made sense as far as here's the story and here's how to actually apply my learnings and takings from it, right? And so what I'm going to do is actually give you my framework on how to make decisions as far as integrating AI into the business without trying to overwhelm and do all the things at the exact same time, and actually show you how to implement it into your business. So not just the framework, but the actual deliverables and the strategy on how to make that happen within your organization. Okay. So just to give a little bit of context, I started Jet Webinar, which is a video conferencing platform. It basically connects online video conferencing to revenue generation. So live webinars, automated webinars, live streamings, meetings. We have a way where you can sell products, you can sell services, you can sell advertisements, you can sell tickets, you can connect to your affiliates. All of this is going to be able to track your revenue through the platform. This is something that we started 10 years ago. I was in charge of revenue. My business partner was in charge of coding and development, right? So what we found was during that time that there was a lot of thought leaders who loved the model of turning their audience into more revenue through a technology, but didn't have enough people or bandwidth or support to help with the other aspects of the business beyond the video stream itself. So that's when we introduced a service side of the business where we helped with basically being their external marketing team, like their fractional chief marketing, chief revenue officer, and digital agency all in one. And we provided premium services to help these thought leaders do that and scale their business online. So now I found myself in two scenarios, right? I had one scenario where I was operating a software company, right? So I had a full SaaS. We had about 10 developers, I don't know, call it 10 developers. You had we had, front end and back end and, all this stuff, right? And then we went and actually acquired another company called Business Hangouts. And so then we had more technical debt, and then we had a whole slew of hiring and managing a lot of people, right? That was kind of like one function. Okay, this marker is getting dead on me, so I will change the other one. So the other one was basically just the whole digital marketing agency, right? So this is the digital agency, right? In this digital agency, we handled ads, we handled copy, we handled funnel in websites, right? So I mean, the whole thing. So you can see there's a lot of different skill sets and talents that we had to go bring on board to handle all that. So easily we got very overwhelmed with that process, right? And we've been doing it for 8 to 10 years. And so this got me in a scenario where collections sometimes weren't happening on bigger projects. We had employees that were padding their hours. We were paying employees to complete deliverables that weren't getting delivered. And we had an all hands on meeting and said, listen, if we can integrate AI into the business and we can help you do your job better, faster, so we can hit our timelines and we can give you bonuses for hitting those deadlines, what do you need? Pushback, pushback, pushback. timelines still weren't being met, money still wasn't being collected. We had to literally shut everything down, or we had to adapt, right? And so obviously, couple kids, mortgage, have to have to live, right? We had to adapt, right? And so there's no other way around it. So if everything was great and glorious and everyone's super happy and everyone's doing the work and we let go of them, negative comments would be warranted. This scenario, definitely not warranted, right? So that's kind of the backstory of here. And then I also go to see that people offline are saying, or online, I should say, and then people I also spoke to offline are all saying very similar things. I lost my job to AI. Lots of engagement, right? And I think that almost homeless is literally the thread, right? Just lost my first job to AI. I feel like I'm spiraling. 23 years old. Okay. Has anyone lost their job to AI? Lost my business to AI. Okay. So these are all really big problems that people are facing, and I'm trying to give clear frameworks on how people can do it, right? And so this existential crisis is going to go really down to what I'm going to be covering here. So there are thousands of people, trying to integrate AI into people's businesses. Now, if we look at all the different functions within an organization, okay, and this is going to hopefully give you the right framework to actually understand where the huge opportunity is in the space. And it doesn't matter if you're 20 years old, if you're 18 years old, if you're 15 years old, or if you're 75 years old. It really doesn't matter. Every business has a handful of functions, right? They have marketing, right? They've got sales. They've got their financial department, right? So this is accounts receivable, accounts payable, right? Okay. We've got, compliance. We've got HR. We've got customer success. Okay. So there's all these individual functions that are required. Okay. Now, if you go to any business, it doesn't matter if it's SaaS. It doesn't matter if it's, a car dealership. It literally does not matter. Okay. Every one of these companies, every one of these functions, everything that you see here, if we were to say, okay, let's look at the framework of how we're going to integrate AI. Okay, so there's a scale. There's a 1, and this is part of my growth, my growth and exit engine framework. Okay, so this is the framework. Okay, excuse my handwriting. On a scale of 1 to 10, what's the effort? On a scale of 1 to 10, what's the impact? Okay. If I could write, it's very early in the morning, so excuse me. So what's the effort? Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10. So meaning if I'm running a business and I need to get a new client, okay, then I would have to send a message. I would have to follow up with them. I'd have to call them. I would have to email them. I'd have to do all these things, right? And then the impact of the business is you generate a sale. So that's a 10 on impact, but generating the lead, there's a lot of work that has to go into it, which is also a 10, right? However, all of those functions, marketing function, the finances, invoices, all these things, everything ultimately comes down to email, okay? Email takes up a lot of time. We've got to sit down. We've got to open it. We've got to think about what needs to get done. We have to write it down. We've got to organize it. We've got to send that information over to someone else. We don't want someone else to manage our inbox for whatever reason. Some people want an executive assistant. So let's just take the model of an email, okay, and look at every business and say, how can we make it where it's a 1 effort and a 10 impact when it comes to email. Okay. Email, there's lots of opportunity. There's sales opportunity. There's people who reach out to you from your website. There's people who have integrated with, who messaged you and said that they're interested and then they fell off. There's a bunch of contacts in there. If you go to, if you're using Gmail and you download all of your contacts, you'll probably see you've got thousands of contacts in there. So there's all this effort that actually there's a lot of, I shouldn't say effort. There's a lot of opportunity in the inbox. So, but writing the email would really only take a 1 effort, and the lead or the sale generation would take a 10. So if you go to multiple different businesses and you were to say, we build AI systems to organize your email, to prioritize the emails based on highest priority, and we look at highest priority based on how much revenue could be added to the business. Are you interested in having an AI solution give you the biggest to outline the biggest opportunities to be sure you or your team is addressing that as soon as possible? I would say 9 out of 10 people would say yes, because even if I look at my email right now, I've got 8,000 unread emails. So as I'm thinking through this, I'm going to go do the same thing for myself right now. Okay. So let's go through that process. Okay. So I'll put this away for a second and let me just let's just pull this up a little bit. Okay, great. So let's go in here and say, I want to set up a system that organizes my emails, takes the highest priority tasks based on revenue. Move this over a little bit. Sorry about that. I'll just hide this, okay? Or maybe I can move it down, but I'll show you in a second. Let's see here. Okay. Based on revenue, and then add it to a task management system for my executive assistant to address at 11 a.m., let's say 9 a.m., 11 a.m., and 4 p.m. to be sure all important emails are responded to. Okay. So now we're going to take this, okay? I'll just kind of share this real quick. How do I move this over? Here we go. Okay. My first time using OBS, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of cool. I like it. But it's just, I guess there's some nuance here, right? Okay. So in here, now it's saying, here are the different tools. Here are the different ways to do it. Okay, great. So now it's giving me like a full breakdown of what I need to do. Okay. Let's just say I want GPT to handle this entire process. Okay. So now we're going to have like a complete breakdown of how to have GPT do this. And so now it's going to give you a breakdown of what it can do. Okay. GPT can go and actually integrate directly with your emails. Okay. I'm not sure why I can't make this smaller here. So as this is kind of working through its process, okay, I'm gonna have AI integrate with my email. I'm gonna have it break it down. I'm gonna have it add it into my task management system. For this scenario, it could be Monday.com, and then I will have it notify my team member on things that they need to do. Okay. Now this is just like it's creating a task and it's doing all these things. But if you actually go into the backend, so if you go to like OpenAI, and it'll actually break this down, right? But so let me finish this, and I'll go into what I'm going to mention next, which is how you can actually build internal agents to do this, and then you can build paywalls so people can just pay you and get access to this exact workflow. Okay, he set up it set up the times. It showed me. Okay, so as an example, so pull up just so you can see that it works. Pull up, and I believe I previously integrated my email to this, so I can pull up my most urgent emails and prioritize it by sales opportunity. Okay. So then here it's going to pull that in. So now that I actually see it's going to work, once it does work, then I can go build my agent around this, right? But even if you were to say, I'm just going to integrate the GPT and your Gmail or your Outlook, people would love that because it's just like a chat interface that they don't even have to go into their email anymore, right? They don't have to search and do all these things. So this, I mean, I'm sure it's going to share some personal stuff or whatever, right? But cool. Okay, it's not. So here's this is a big one, right? This is true. This is all accurate. I have to do this, right? New yeah, so it's actually taking all of my emails in here. It's breaking it down for me. Okay, awesome. So how do I let's say how do into a GPT agent, okay? So then it's going to tell me to go to like OpenAI, okay? So then I would go into OpenAI, right? And then I can go build different agents, right? So I have an agent builder, so I can build something just for customer service, right? I guess it needs my payment method or something. But then you can go, and it can actually set these individual tasks up. But again, that's kind of a step further as far as where you need to go. But I'm saying, looking at these simple tasks are a huge opportunity to ultimately, once I can hide this, how do I hide this? Order, let's send this to the bottom. Okay, cool. So now that you can kind of like understand, everyone's, for those of you who are, trying to figure out where do I actually handle these things when I look at what needs to get done as far as like an effort to impact on the organization, start with the simple things. Start with an email, right? If you start with the email function, that's organized, leads are coming in, you're able to generate more sales, you spend less time in the inbox, you're buying back more time, you're generating more revenue, and that is an easy pitch for anyone who doesn't want to learn about AI. That's a clear advantage, right? But I showed you exactly how this can all be done with a simple chat, and then you can go build additional models, and I'm happy to go through different levels of training to show you how to do that. But I think it's very important to be just clear on, what are the ways that you can build outcomes within the organization? What are different bottlenecks or repeatable tasks? Again, that would be a one effort and then zero impact, right? And then as you complete these things, right? I could reduce this screen a little bit. As you go and like as you complete the one effort, so let's say email here, let's say email is a one effort, 10 impact, 1E, 10 impact, okay? Then you move into the next function. The next function could be a customer success, right? Customer success could be maybe also a one impact, right? But it can also, a one effort, but it can also only be a 5 impact if you don't get many customer, if you don't get many customer feedback or whatever, right? If you don't get a lot of inquiries coming in, or maybe there are opportunities directly in customer success that could be sales opportunities, and maybe you can build an AI agent or a chat to break down and give you the insights for that, right? So you have to think about, just do critical thinking on like what are the individual functions within these organizations, and then you can use, the growth and exit engine, just like one scale of like 1 to 10 to go and use this exact model. You can say, what is a huge impact on the organization, and what's a repeatable task that helps you get there, right? For me, I know for every proposal that I send, right? So if you look at my organization, right? So for every 100 proposals that I send cold or lukewarm, okay, we'll call it lukewarm, I get the outcome of that, right, is a, probably 1 1 to 2 new customers, okay? Now, if I have the same templated process to send 100 proposals every single day, every single week, whatever your metric is, right? And I know each time that's going to generate this, and this is coming from this, and this is coming from a template, okay? And it costs me, call it 10 hours a week, then I know that this is going to be a 3 effort and then a 10 impact, okay? My handwriting is messy and it's all over the place, right? But if I am able to streamline and automate this process next of sending proposals, you got emails, you got proposals, all these functions that are directly tied to revenue generation, then you can continue to have a list of, okay, customer success, financial, sales, marketing, whatever, right? You break all of those things down on a scale of 1 to 10, and then you work backwards on least effort, biggest impact. And then it could be a 2 effort, it could be a 6 impact, it could be a 2 effort and a 5 impact, it could be a 7 effort and a 10 impact. And you focus on the easiest things first that make the biggest results, and then you just continue to repeat that process. And then you figure out how you can use AI, just like how I showed you with the emails, to plug that into your whole path, your whole process. If you have additional questions, feel free to reach out. I just wanted to give complete clarity on really my back end story, my behind the scenes story, the vulnerability moment of really why I was forced to go make one decision over another, right? And ultimately why that drew me towards private equity, because now that I actually understand, I understand acquisitions. I've bought companies. I've helped sell companies. I've helped companies make 8 figures in revenue. So I've done a lot of these things, and I'm applying it for my own business. So proof is in the pudding, because this is what I'm doing for my own business, and I'm helping other people do the same, right? And so now that I'm kind of highlighting all of that, if there's any points of unclarity, more than happy to share what you need ultimately to move you forward and get you these, get you better results within your organization. But am I gonna apologize for trying to survive a business and take care of my family? No, I'm not gonna do that. But if I did offend you and that did trigger in any way, sorry you feel that way. It's just this, and I hope now you actually don't feel that way, because you have true context on what I did, and you have a clear path to move your business forward. And again, if you have questions, you want to message me directly, you are running into a bottleneck when trying to implement some of what I just shared with you, happy to send you a video, jump on a call, depending on how much time that I have. I have a Q&A sessions that I do, but yeah, let me know. Happy to help, and hope this adds clarity. Thank you for watching.